Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Hey, good morning, team. Welcome to Not So Early in the Morning Motivation with Big Papa. I hope everyone's doing fantastic this morning. It is Friday. You know what that means? That means it's freaking fabulous Friday, baby! Woo! Woo! And I was really tired this morning. This whole time change thing is throwing me off. But it's freaking fabulous Friday, and so here I am, freaking fabulous Friday, freaking fabulous Friday, freaking fabulous Friday. Baby, Sylvia's back. So happy that you're back, Sylvia. Been thinking about you and praying for your health, and glad that you are on the mend and feeling good again. So that's fantastic. So I did a couple sessions yesterday, a couple consults with some families, and it made me think about stories, the stories that we hear. Like, we get conditioned from the time we are babies, not just with words, but we get conditioned with vibrations. We get conditioned with energy from the time we are babies that form belief patterns and form a framework around us for how we see the world and eventually what we are motivated to do or not motivated to do. And I had talked to a young man yesterday who is 20 years old and just completely, utterly in his spirit is shut down and almost unwilling to take any risk, in letting others. That's the thing. He's unwilling to take any risk to let others see who he is. But even worse than that, he's unwilling to take any risk in seeing who he could potentially be. And I just got the sense when I was talking to him yesterday that I was looking at a 20-year-old young man who was very much 6 years old and 12 years old at the same time. And he's just scared. He's so scared to begin to think about the possibilities for his life. At 20 years old, he can't think into the next day. And he tries to use this, my memory, I don't really remember, I don't really think about stuff, but that's all just a facade. And I knew in that moment I was visiting with him that's how he keeps people pushed back. That's how he continues to perpetuate the story of people leaving him in his life and ultimately not being good enough, is he puts out this message. And he was throwing me off for a minute. I'm sitting there trying to connect, and so I've been doing this long enough to be mindful enough to pay attention to what's going on with me. When I'm not connecting and when I'm not getting into that flow with someone, I don't look at them. And the initial inclination is to want to perceive them as distance. Good morning, Brother Harold. Want to perceive them as just shut down and not caring, what have you. But what we have to do is we have to reflect on ourselves, and I have to become really mindful of my own body and what's going on in my own body. And I felt tension in my feet. I felt this tension in my feet, this anxiety, this stress in my feet. And as soon as I became aware of it, I just breathed into my body and I relaxed that tension. And then I relaxed my body, because what that was telling me is that he's that buried. He's that deeply buried in himself. And this is a big kid, which is so interesting because he's about 6'4", and he's buried all the way down to his feet. And to try to connect to someone up here, or to connect to someone here, or here, or here, and they're all the way in their feet, it's like you're just going to set yourself up for frustration, and then you're going to eventually just end up abandoning. And so as soon as I connected to the fact that he was all the way down in his feet, and I just breathed into my body and I relaxed my body, I just sat there for a moment and I just let the silence kind of linger. And I just waited. And then the story just kind of showed up, and I just started talking to him. And just kind of, and this is what I like to do with teenagers a lot of times, is speak their story, speak their existence, speak their reality without asking permission. You just start telling the story in a way that resonates with them, that's just honest. It's not disrespectful. It's not condescending. It's not demeaning. It's just an honest reflection of their story. You speak that, and I spoke that to him, and I just said, look, you've spent much your whole life being perceived by people a certain way to the point that you've bought into it, and you feel like shit. I mean, you feel like you really have very little to offer. And the problem with that is that you've believed everyone's story, and you're still wanting to believe it, even though you know it's not true. Even though you know within you, you have something that you're passionate about. You have something that you care about. You have something that you are really good at. And I told him the story of several kids, and including my sister, who was just a genius at who she was, but society doesn't honor that. Society likes to focus on weaknesses. And I just, kind of spit that truth to him. And then I said, you've got so much more possibility than you're willing to let on, or you're willing to acknowledge. And I want you to spend some time thinking about just who you want to be, just who you hope to be, who you dream to be, and start setting some goals for what that might look like for you, because you don't have to keep buying this story that you've been conditioned to believe for all of these years. And that's what you're doing right now. You're just buying the story. And you're just trying to keep buried that truth, that hope, that dream that's deep inside of you, that I know is inside of you, that genius that I know is inside of you, and you're trying to play it safe. And I want you to give yourself an opportunity. I want you to realize, number one, that you're doing it. And number two, I want you to give yourself an opportunity to perhaps honor that there is a bigger story in there, that there is a bigger possibility in there, that there is a bigger truth in there. And you've got the next year. And so here's one of the things that's going on in California is that they've got this wraparound services that they provide for families. And I mean, it is really impressive. It's really impressive how much they're willing to do for adopted families, children who are adopted. And they will provide funding right now for them up to 21 years of age. And that's just an amazing thing. And there's so much flexibility. The agencies that administer the funding and the services can be really flexible in what they do with these kids. And I said to him, you have a unique opportunity to really take advantage of a door that's open for you right now to pursue your dreams and your goals and your hopes, and stop playing so freaking small. Because playing that way isn't going to get you where you want. And the other sense of this young man that I had is that he is a really coddled 12-year-old. So he's a really scared 6-year-old and a really coddled 12-year-old. He's just stuck in that space, and he can't dream for himself. He can't hope for himself, and he's just learned to play it safe. And the message from all of that for you all is, as well as for me, is always fight to overcome your story. The story you've been defined as, the roles you've been put in, the way people have looked at you and the energies they've projected on you since the time you were a baby. Look at those stories and challenge those stories, and dream bigger than any dream that you've had. I've got a friend, another friend, she's 48 years old, and she sent me a text the other day and said, hey, after listening to you talk to me about goals, I got motivated, and I've got my kids writing their goals now, and I've got journals for all of them, and I'm going to write some of my own goals. And she said, I'm really scared to write goals because I'm so afraid that I'm not going to achieve them. And I said, writing goals is the work of a childlike mind. because goals is dreaming, and children dream. Adults don't dream. Adults get mired down into their day-to-day routines and they stop dreaming. But setting goals is from a childlike mind. That's the Buddha mind. The Zen mind is the child mind. I said, write your goals from a child's mind and just dream, and don't worry about what you may or may not be able to accomplish. Set small goals and set big goals. And if you're not setting some big goals that are so big they don't freak you out, that don't make you uncomfortable, they're not big enough. You're not dreaming big enough. Set some freaking goals that you may not ever achieve. But setting the goal and taking the steps and making the effort to one day achieve that goal will transform you and change you as a person. And the only reason we don't set those goals is because of the stories that we have believed, the stories that have been read to us and projected onto us that we've believed. Life is more than what you are living. Life is more than what you are seeing. You are a magician. You are a creator. You can create whatever it is that you want. You just have to stop believing the stories that you've heard in the way you've been defined. So that's it. I'm going to hop off of here. I'm going to hop over to my Lovevolution group, and I've got a good question from one of my parents that came in. I was up at 3 a.m. this morning. Hey, good afternoon, buddy, Stefan. I was up at 3 a.m. this morning, and I was sending a Facebook response to the Lovevolution group, and it was lengthy, and all of a sudden, it disappeared. I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, I luckily went back to sleep. So God bless you guys. Have a fantastic Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. Big Papa loves you, loves you. And I just want you to, be as inspired and as motivated as you possibly can be, because you are a magical person. I will see you Monday morning. I hope.